Assalamu alaikum. Hello, good afternoon, and Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Cambridge Central Mosque's first live virtual tour. I'm Sarah Wasim, and I'm delighted to be able to show you around the mosque today as one of your tour guides this afternoon. But before we go any further, you wouldn't mind just taking your shoes off, would you, before you come in? So I hope you enjoyed your stroll through the Islamic community garden at the front. I'm sure you'll agree that on this of a natter. It's a lovely, tranquil spot for people to sit down and to enjoy in the community itself. And it's something that we're very proud that we can provide in our kind of, as part of our kind of inclusive ethos in the local community. As you've entered the building, you can see that we are now in the atrium, which is a glorious space and very, very impressive. Some of the key features of this of the design are inspired by traditional Islamic architecture. And I'll just talk about a couple of those things. So one of the things inevitably that you will have noticed as you walked in are these great tree-like structures that you can see. And there are 30 of these structures throughout the building which support the building, but also support the philosophy of the building as well. So as you can see that the branches kind of are raised in this lovely lattice work that join in the middle of the building itself. And not only does that support the roof, but it creates that beautiful octagonal geometric design, which is such an emblem of Islamic art. But also, mosques historically have been an expression of the local culture in which they are embedded. And I'm sure for those of you who have visited King's College Chapel, and something that Sheikh Abdul Hakim Murad mentioned earlier, it's also a nod to the beautiful stonework fan vaulting that you see in the chapel, which is just down the road as well. So these tree-like structures are actually sustainably sourced from Scandinavian forests. They were assembled in Switzerland and kind of constructed on site using 8 beams to create these lovely trees. And as we journey into the heart of the building, you will see that this becomes more and more prominent in its design. The other thing that you will have invariably have noticed is the beautiful pattern on the floor. So this marble was quarried in the south of Spain. We hope and we think that maybe at one time, many from hundreds of years ago, that the Moors of that empire once walked on this very stone that we walk on today. And the beautiful patterns that you can see were designed by the late Professor Keith Critchlow, who actually is responsible for all the geometric patterns that you will see in the mosque today. So the pattern that I'd like to draw your attention to is the Starlight Pattern, which are like 2 squares coming together. And often we interpret that pattern as the intersection of heaven and earth coming together as an expression of our life on earth itself. And you will see these star-like patterns repeated throughout the building itself. If we now look towards the wall over there, I'm sure you'll agree that the pattern there looks very beautiful. And this is a pattern which is repeated not only on the inside of the building with the brickwork, but also on the outside of the building as well. And the colors and the way that the bricks are arranged are reminiscent of the Victorian railway architecture that is very common in the local area as well. Again, the bricks were locally sourced and are also a gesture to the local community in which the mosque is very much embedded. If I could draw your attention to that part of the wall, you might be able to see at a slant something that looks like a 1989 type numerals on the wall. For those of you with a keen eye and perhaps some knowledge of Arabic, you will see that actually these patterns are Kufic Arabic calligraphy, and they actually express a verse from the Holy Quran. And it says, say, God is one. Qul huwallahu ahad. One of the central beliefs and tenets of Islamic belief. So not only does the pattern look beautiful, but the building breathes the philosophy of the building itself as well in a beautiful and subtle way. So this space is, if you like, the front-facing social space of the mosque. It is often used for receptions and weddings and public events, but we also have two other spaces as well. So beyond the wall there, we actually have a community cafe which can seat 100 people. And we hope that after these very strange and interesting times that we're living in, we hope to welcome you into the mosque for a cup of tea or a cup of coffee as soon as we're able to do so. But let's go into the exhibition room and see what we will find in there. So, welcome to the exhibition space. We currently have an exhibition on right now, which speaks of the Muslim contribution to science, navigation, and astronomy, which is a beautiful collection of various exhibits ranging from over the centuries. So this space is somewhere that the Cambridge Central Mosque hope to host various exhibitions throughout the years. You will also see that the great tree-like structures are also within this room itself, which is such a focal point. But you'll also see these huge skylights, which also help people within the building interact with the natural world, but also help the sunlight kind of come into the building itself. Again, reducing the need for electrical lighting. There's no oil or gas used on site at all. And actually the solar panels on the roof also contribute towards 10% of all the electric consumption that's required on site per annum. There are also filters that you can see by the lights, and the low-lying light sensors also turn on depending on cloud coverage beyond. Another beautiful feature of the mosque are these lovely oak grills, and I'm sure you'll agree, even though they look very beautiful, they actually do have a function as well, and they draw in the air from the lower point in order to circulate and create this sort of passive ventilation that we have within the building. So even on a lovely day like this, where it's quite warm outside, or in our bitterly cold winters, actually it is quite temperate within the mosque quite naturally, and that's one of the key features of the mosque itself. So let's head over now and journey into the center of the mosque, into the ablution facility. But before we go any further, you might have noticed all of these clocks. And although Islam is a global religion, actually the clocks here refer to the times of prayer. So Muslims pray 5 times a day, and at Cambridge Central Mosque, when we're open, these times denote the times where the imams pray in congregation with people. So everybody knows when the time of prayer is. So that's, if you're wondering what all the clock faces are for, that's what they're here to do. Okay, over to the ablution facilities. So what a wonderful space we have here. And one of the things that strikes you as you enter these facilities is this vivid turquoise blue tiling within these facilities. So very kindly donated from Turkey, but also gives us a bit of a hammam spa-like feel as well. And with the green foliage and the natural lighting washing in, I'm sure, you know, it does feel very tranquil in this space. And, you know, in our subdued times, you know, it certainly is very quiet at the moment. So ablutions are a ritual act of worship, a preparatory act of worship before Muslims go and pray their formal prayers. So the act, even though it's a physical act that involves washing limbs, it's also a deep act of remembrance and preparation for the individual as well. So as you did this afternoon, as you walk in from the hustle and bustle of Mill Road, you do gain a sense of quietude as you enter the atrium. And as we're journeying into the heart of the mosque, actually, this very important act prepares the worshipful for the prayer itself. So these facilities, the taps are movement sensitive, and they're also kind of drip free as well. So again, that helps us, lessen wastage with the water. The rainwater that's harvested from the roof also flushes the toilets, which are at the far end of these facilities, and it also irrigates the garden that you passed through at the beginning of the tour as well. This space is for wheelchair accessible users, and these stools are where people will sit and then wash their limbs for the ablutions. One of the best things, though, that I like about these facilities, if you'll indulge me for a minute, are over here. So if you follow me. But after you've washed your limbs, and for anybody who's had to wash their limbs 5 times a day, not only are hand dryers very useful, but there's a foot dryer as well, which is absolutely amazing. So it's a bit of a game changer when it comes to mosque facilities. So that's my part of the tour over and done with. Please now take some time to visit the main prayer hall and take in the key parts of the mosque. And Shahida will be there to introduce the next part of the tour. See you later.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Shahida. We are now in the main part of the mosque, the prayer hall, and I'm just standing right under the dome. You can see we've got 12 trees, we've got 16 trees, 12 of them represent Shia Islam and 4 for the Imams of Sunni Islam, and that represents non-sectarian and spirit of inclusivity. So we're just here under the dome. The dome outside is golden, it's made of teku gold. And you can see the mimbar and the mihrab, which is oriented to Mecca. And it's very beautiful. You can see the Arabic calligraphy on there. We're going to have a look at the carpet lines now. So this allows people who actually come into the mosque, they know exactly where to stand in a straight line towards this direction. And we have the beautiful Islamic geometry design, which is the breath of the compassionate. And you can see that design on the trees, on the floors, on the doors, and on the dome, and on the stained glass windows of the mosque itself. And with the calligraphy, we've got calligraphy all around the mosque. They came all the way from Turkey, and they were created by a Kufic calligrapher, Hussein Kutlu, who actually did a lot of work in mosques in Germany and Japan, in other countries around the world. And now we're going to move over to the ladies' area of the mosque. So this is the ladies' area. The Mosque prayer hall, it accommodates for about 1,000 people, 700 men and 300 women. We've got the screens here. So this allows the partitions. We've got the screens which are waist high. We've got the others which are much higher. So this allows for the sisters to choose where they want to pray. Some sisters would rather pray in the main prayer hall. We've also got the mother and a child room as well. As you can see over here, we've got the kiswa. That's a 19th century piece that was donated to the mosque. But this is probably the most popular area for the sisters to come and pray in this part of the mosque itself. I'm now going to take you into the mother and child room. And we have a mihrab over here. We have children actually coming and standing over here, pretending to be the imam to actually pray. We also, this place is soundproof, so we encourage sisters to come and pray here with their children. And anything that goes on in the main part of the mosque, they can actually hear, but they can scream as loud as they want. They won't be able to be heard from the main part of the mosque. So it's very cozy, very nice over there. We're now going to move over to the gallery area upstairs. So this area was built in the name of the late Cambridge University student Baraka Khan. She raised £500,000 before she died in 2016. So this is a very private place for the sisters, and it's the best view of the house in the mosque. So as you can see, it's the most beautiful place to stand to see the whole mosque. And you can see that design over here, which is the breath of the compassionate. So this concludes our tour. We're going to have a questions and answers session right at the end of the program. Thank you very much for joining us, and please continue to watch.